Hello everybody, welcome back to X-Plane 11 once again. Flying a British airplane. This is the Britten-Norman BN-2 Islander. You can get it over at X Aviation by TorqueSim is who has made this airplane. So we're down here in the Caribbean today doing some island hopping. We're gonna fly from St. Martin out to St. Bart's, do that famous approach on runway 10 there, and then we're going to do a turnaround flight and go up to Saba, which has the world's shortest runway. No room for error. This airplane's a STOL airplane, meaning it is short takeoff and landing, and a final approach on a STOL approach is about 56 knots, so pretty insane. We're just a big happy family here inside of the airplane, ready to go. On the left-hand side, you can see we can drop down and get this menu for the aircraft. This is where you can turn off chocks, cones. You can turn your pitot covers on, your inlet covers on, things like that. You can change over to kilograms if you'd like. You can change your fuel in real time with our little chart here, and then you can change out the people that are in there as well. Let's go ahead and close this door here in the back, and we'll close the one in the front. All right, we have the door closed in here, and we're ready to fire up everything. Let's go ahead and hide the yoke for now. Battery comes to the on position. Electrics, as far as that looks good. Avionics off. External supply goes to up. And then on the overhead panel, we got to make sure the fuel pumps are going to go to the on position. There they go. And then the overheads are looking good. We have fuel on the left and the right-hand side. Wonderful. As far as this goes, you can see on the yoke cam, we're going to go ahead and bring up mixture all the way to full rich. And the same thing for the props. We're going to go all the way forward. And then we just need our throttles to be just open just a little bit. Right there looks great. On the overhead panel, we can turn our magnetos on the left side, and we'll say clear prop on the left. Starter to the left-hand side. Doesn't take very long, and yes, she fires up. Same thing with the right-hand side. Right mags are good, and then we're looking good there. We just go ahead and fire up the right side now. There we go. That's 2 good engine start. We'll now signal to them they can remove the chocks and the cones. Make sure our brakes are set, and they were not, so that's okay. That is down there at the bottom. We want to make sure that our carb is good to go there. Yep, parking brake is off, and we're ready to go. We got altimeter 3002. Winds are out of the south today, so we're taking off on runway 10. And we can turn our avionics on now, and we'll get our flight plan plugged in. All right, Tango, Foxtrot, Juliet, that's what we want. We're gonna go ahead and activate that. That's in there, and then we'll have an ETE about 12 minutes en route today. Shouldn't take very long at all. As far as electric to go, let's go ahead and get the right and left generator on. Lights are out on there. We can make sure that everything's good here. Avionics are good. Lane lights are off right now. Nav lights, they are in the on position. The beacon lights are on as well. We're just double checking everything. Passenger notices are on. Cabin lights are off. Pitot heaters can be on. Airplane de-icing, we'll just cycle the systems real quick. There we go. Those look great. Amps look good. Volts look good. Right there at around 29 volts. That looks fantastic. We'll keep our fuel pumps on. A short taxi over. We're doing an intersection departure, so it won't take very long to get over there. Release the parking brake, and let's taxi over to the runway. All right, let's do our run up. So we're about 1700 RPM right there. We're gonna bring the props down, back up. There was the 1000 right there. We'll cycle these for about 3 times to make sure they're working fine. Let's check our mags. We got the left side. And there's a little drop. There's a drop on that side. You can check each mag if you'd like, but yeah, we're seeing that working fine. Wonderful. Fuel pumps are on for takeoff. We are ready to rock and roll on out of here. We'll double check our takeoff trim. It looks good. Flaps for takeoff. That white arc right up there. Yep, that's good. Flaps are set for takeoff. Yeah, I can't get the landing lights and stuff to turn on the airplane. I've tried everything. Nav lights work fine, all that stuff, but not sure if that's a issue with the airplane or I'm doing something wrong. Just roll right out here onto the runway. All right. Got the yoke cam up here so you can see the yoke by VirtualFly, and I'm using the TQ6 from VirtualFly. All the links for everything I use will be in the description below. Let's go flying, folks. Let's go ahead and bring up the power ever so slightly, nice and smooth. And there we go. Takeoff power is set. Airspeed is alive. We're gonna rotate right around 65 knots. There's our rotation speed, so just ease back on that. And look at that, we are in the air. Climb out around 80 knots or so here. Bring that nose down, let the airplane accelerate. We're at a pretty safe altitude here of 200 feet where we want to be. There we go, we'll start our turn to the right. Using the trim as necessary. And we're gonna clear the mountains and then we'll make our left-hand turn here, so looking good here. Beautiful day down here in the Caribbean. We're gonna cruise at about 2,000 feet today. Nothing too insane. There we go, looking great. Make sure we've got a good positive climb happening. Yes, we do. We'll bring our flaps up. There we go. And retrim the airplane for the climb here. You see how much drag those flaps put out there on us. And we'll start our turn to the left here. You see the island physically out there in the distance. So we're looking good here. It's a little bit of a climb rate here. Bring our nose down since we have adjusted that. We're gonna bring back our props to 2,500. That's looking pretty decent, about right there. Awesome. And we're at a safe altitude now. We can turn our pumps off. The fuel pumps are off, and we are flying distance, we need to track 133, which we're looking about on the nose there. At 100 knots, fantastic. All right, we're at 2,000 feet. I've got the airplane leaned out. I pulled the mixture back, these little guys here. So we got a fuel PSI in the green arc, a little bit towards the yellow. We're not gonna be cruising very long today, so we're not worried about that. At about 110 knots here, and the airplane's gonna start picking up speed as we go along here, but we're just about to start our descent. All right, it's time to start our descent already. So I'm gonna bring our mixture to full rich here. I'm gonna pull our power back a little bit more, and you'll see the airplane will start its descent naturally. And we'll put our props forward once we get a little bit closer towards final approach. I know the island pretty well, so I know what we're aiming for. I'm gonna make my left turn now to about a heading of 140. And then we will continue that descent rate about 500 feet per minute, looking great. Hand flying the airplane 100% today, no autopilot. It does have an autopilot in it, including a yaw damper and heading hold and all that, but no need for it. I want to fly it myself. We're still descending here to about 1,000 feet. You can see off the left-hand side, there's the island. Looks like a little bit of sun hitting those beaches today, so that's good news for our passengers on board. I'm gonna go ahead and go full on the props, and we start pulling our power back. You'll notice that the airspeed will drop dramatically once we start pulling our power here at about 1,000 feet. So the airplane's all about, you know, obviously going to pitch for our airspeed, and we're going to power for the altitude in this airplane. It's really, really, really prevalent whenever you're doing it. I can see the runway now just off our left-hand side. So we're making our left turn now to line up for a nice left base. Be a shallow base, but a base nonetheless. And the airplane's slowing up quite nicely. Going to hold about 800 feet here. Bringing that nose. We're at about 700 now. And you can really see how the airplane will sink down just based on what you're doing with the power. So we're lining up now. I can see the airport just based off of, you know, visual cues. We're looking good here. Using some more elevator trim to try to maintain the speed we need. And you're going to notice once we pull the flaps out, it's really going to slow this puppy down. So we're about 100 there, looking great. Let's go ahead and put our first notch of flaps in. And here comes the drag. Wonderful. Be ready for it. And a little bit of power here. So gonna maintain about 80 knots for now. And you can just see for such a big airplane, man, it really is fantastic at flying at slow speeds. All right, I've got the runway basically in sight. I know you can't see it, but I've flown in here so many times. I'm used to it. It's right over the road here. Let's bring the nose up a little bit more. We won't be able to see that runway, but I am basically crabbing into the wind to the right. There's the runway easily in sight there. So now we're gonna go to landing flaps, and we're going to use the pitch for the airspeed. We want to pitch to about the 65 knots for now. There we go. Don't need to go super stall on this thing, and then use our power to maintain the correct altitude we want here. That's looking wonderful. Passengers have been briefed. We don't have the fuel pumps on, but we probably should. That would be a good idea, wouldn't it? There we go. There's the runway, looking great. 65 knots, awesome. A bit more left there. There we go, wonderful. And I'm gonna give it a little bit of power at the end just for the flare. So we'll pull our power out here. Airplane will settle down the runway. A little bit of power here, not much. And our flare. There we go. It's not supposed to be a nice greaser into this airport by any means. Slow her down a little bit. I could have added a little bit more power there for our touchdown, but we will take it. Not bad at all. Welcome to St. Bart's. We come down here and we turn around at the beach, and we'll head to the ramp. Okay, we'll make our left-hand turn up the big hill here to the ramp. That works for me. And what an interesting and cool airport, man. Really nice. AW Designs did a great job on this scenery package, I must say. Watch that left side so we don't hit. There, we're good there. And we'll line up kind of how that airplane is pointing at us. A little bit closer here. And we'll go ahead and pull our power back. Add some brakes. There we go. Make sure that parking brake is set. Awesome. And we want to turn off the avionics before we shut the engines down. There we go. And we kill the engines just by pulling the mixture. That's all there is to that. And then we kill the battery and we are deplaning. Open that door for you guys. There you go. You are free to get out, and we'll go ahead and open our front door as well. There we go. We'll put the chocks out there so the airplane will be secure. And we will go ahead and get these guys off the airplane and get some new people on. All right, we're all loaded up. We are ready to go to Saba or Saba. And we're going to close the doors up and get going. All right, doors are closed and locked. We're ready to fire this thing up. Go ahead and put the battery on. There we go. We have the beacon on. Everybody's good there. We'll bring up the mixture all the way to full rich. RPMs are all the way up as well. Throttle just barely cracked. That looks good about there. Let's get those fuel pumps on. On up they go. And mags should have been in the off position, but that's all right. We already had them in the on. And we are ready to fire up the left-hand side first. So let's go ahead and do it. There we go. Got a good start there on the left. And we'll start the right one. Wonderful. 2 good engine starts there. Avionics come on. Get those generators on as well. There we go. No lights are there. Landing lights are off right now. And we are already good. So let's go ahead and have them. Please remove the chocks, which they will do right now. So chocks and cones. And as you can see, we have a whole new group of people back here. They have their headsets on. They're having a great time. Ready to go to Saba. Come on, let's do it. There we go. TNCS is entered there, activated, and we have our distance to track of 249 degrees. Taking off on runway 10. Let's go ahead and remove the parking brake. There we go. We'll make sure those flaps are set for takeoff. And a little bit of power here. Let's go taxi over to runway 10. A little bit of power to get rolling up the hill. All right, trim is set for takeoff. We're good to go. Landing lights are on. Watch that left-hand side. Don't want to smash into a PC-12. That would be bad. And we're going to line up on the runway here. Remember, we are going to rotate around 65 knots, and we'll climb out around 80. But coming into Saba, or Saba, however you pronounce it, coming into there, we're going to be shooting for 56 knots, which is going to be crazy, I know. All right, short runway, so let's go ahead and hold the brakes down here. We're going to slowly advance our power. There we go, looking great. And we'll release the brakes. There we go. Airspeed is alive. There's our rotation speed. On back we go. Wonderful. Climbing out of St. Bart's. All right, climb out looks great. We're bringing these flaps on in so the airplane can accelerate to past 80 knots or so here. We're just getting around the island, getting back to where we can intercept our course. Bring that nose down. We're climbing like a banshee right now, I'll tell you. All right, I'm happy with that. We can bring those fuel pumps off now. Looking great on the climb. And we're gonna pull our power back to 2,500 RPM. There we go. Bring that nose down even more. Man, we were really climbing there for a second, weren't we? And just make sure we're clear of the island all the way. And we'll be on our way to Saba. I believe it's Saba. Some people said it's Saba. It's S-A-B-A, however you want to pronounce it. All right, so in Saba, it looks like the winds are going to be out of the south at 120, so basically right down the runway. And we're just about to the magenta line where we can start tracking 249 to the island. Airplane's looking great here. Once we get to 2,000 feet, we'll go ahead and pull power back, and we will lean as we need to. Little small turn to the right here. Don't need a whole lot to get onto that line. Winds are favoring right down that runway, though, because we're landing on runway 12 today. All right, coming up on 2,000 feet. Going to pull power back just a hair here. Nose down with the trim. And we are going to make us, well, just basically shoot right for that big, huge mountain in front of us. That's where we're going. And we can start to lean the engine, so we'll pull those back as well. That's a good spot there. Don't need to go crazy with it. And we are pretty much on course for the island now. Dive below this cloud deck right here. We don't need it. And we start our initial descent down into Saba today because we're at 13 nautical miles out, 5 minutes left in the flight. That works for me. Bring that nose down a little bit more. Let's get right underneath this cloud deck. It looks awesome. All right, fuel pumps are going to come on. Landing lights are on. Everything else looks great here. Let's bring that nose down a little bit more. There we go. I'm gonna go ahead and make another left turn here. We're gonna be making a left base for the runway. The runway is actually on this side of the island. And we're pretty much set up for a left base for it right now. All right, let's go ahead and go full on the props. And we're about to 1,000 feet here. You can see the runway right off the left there. It's that, it looks way shorter than it actually is. Or, I mean, the actual height of that runway looks a lot shorter than it actually is. You'll see that cliff there on the left. So we're looking good here. Gonna pull our power back a lot. And we'll start a left turn, so we're really squared up on this base because we want to hug the left side of these cliffs for this approach. Looking good there. Airplane slowing down quite tremendously. And you can see the rate of descent is looking good as well. We're going to be going for 56 knots on this one, so it's going to be a little crazy. All right, go first notch of flaps. There comes the drag. Add a little bit of power here. We're going to pitch for that 56 knots. We're basically flying right at this mountain, as you can see, and there is the runway right there on the left. You see that little green plateau? That's where we're aiming. And the heading is 120 on the runway. Trimming it back. We want to trim for that that 56 knots. So we're looking good here in the arc. We're going to go ahead to the final setting of flaps. That's really going to help us here achieve the 56. There's the runway in sight, and we can start our left turn for final approach. Pulling the power a little bit more. We're going to aim for that 56. There we go. We're looking good here. Remember, the winds are about 120, so they're going to be pushing us a little bit towards the cliffs here. Pull that power back a little bit more. Pitch for that 56. It almost feels like you're falling out of the sky whenever you're flying this airplane at a STOL configuration. Bring that nose up a little bit here. There we go. Looking great. It's a very, very short runway, folks. Pull that power a little bit more. Kind of reminds me of landing on an aircraft carrier with the angle of attack. Looking good here. Remember, we'd use that power to set her down on the ground nice and easy here. Pull that power. We're a little high. We're really high here, so there's the drop. There we go, looking okay. Never landed here yet with this airplane, so it's a first for us. Pull it power. Bring that nose up. There we go. We'll take that 100%. Into the wheel brakes. And you can just see how short that runway is. There's no room for error. We're slightly high on it, but we recovered it, no problem. Welcome to Saba, everybody. Pretty darn cool. We'll taxi over here to the ramp. All right, parking here is going to be interesting. Let's go ahead and turn our lane lights off so we're not blinding them. And they're going to have us kind of turn around right here in this little spot off to the left. We'll end up parking right next to this Win Air airplane. All right, we're all parked here, ready to go ahead and shut down. All right, parking brake is set, and we're gonna go ahead and turn our avionics off, and we'll kill the engines. There we go, and we can turn off the generators. Whole crash bar works really well for that. Nav lights, those are fine. All this stuff is off. External supply is off. Fuel pumps are off as well, and then these guys there. Let's go ahead and open the doors up and get everybody out of here. And there you have it, folks. Thanks for flying along with me today down here in the Caribbean. Loving this BN-2 Islander. You can get it at the link in the description below. I paid for it myself, so I'm going to be flying it a lot. It's a little bit of a learning curve, that's for certain, especially coming into airports like this. But nonetheless, I enjoyed myself. I'll see you guys very soon. Take care.